Good morning, everybody. Digital ID is something that the global cabal wants to bring to the United Kingdom, as well as the European Union, the United States, and all countries around the world. And last month, on the 26th of September, Keir Starmer, who terribly is the Prime Minister of the UK, announced that he was going to implement digital ID for all adults in the country. No choice, it would be compulsory, on the basis that this was needed to stop illegal immigration into the UK. So the idea was that you couldn't have a job or get a job without a digital ID. No digital ID, no job. You couldn't rent a place to live, a home, a house without digital ID. And this was going to stop illegal migrants from coming to the country. Well, that is a complete joke and a complete lie. Any government could stop illegal migration across the channel right now. Right this second, if they wanted to, they could stop small boats coming across the channel. The fact that they haven't done, and the fake conservatives before them, this has been going on since 2018. It's been getting worse and worse every year. It's being facilitated by central government, by the Home Office, and by the whichever government we've got in the Uniparty, Tory, Labour, Lib Dems and Greens wouldn't be any different. So digital ID has got nothing to do with illegal immigration. This is an absolute lie and deception. And we know this because as just 2 or 3 weeks have gone by, and Keir Starmer has also started to say, well, this will help people to be able to access their money. This will make life more convenient for people. This goes well beyond what even he said 3 weeks ago. So clearly he's got more things in mind. And obviously Tony Blair behind the scenes is pushing for digital ID as well, making lots of noise about it. He tried to introduce it when he was Prime Minister. He got voted down even by some of his own MPs. He didn't get it through, even though he had a majority in Parliament, because there were enough Labour MPs back in 2006 to vote against it, because some of them, even though Labour are terrible on this issue, some of them were against it because it would be against freedom and make massive totalitarian control over the population. And actually is very interesting. Some of the people on the left, the hard left, the far left even, are against digital ID because they don't want the government to be controlling and surveilling everything that they do, which is very interesting. So, I'm very much on the hard right. I don't mind being called that, but I'm against digital ID as well because I'm for freedom. Small state, the government should not have control over what you do. It should not require lots of information from you that was never needed before to do all the things that they want to try to control and say that, well, now you need digital ID to do this, and without it you can't do what you've been able to do before. The thing is, though, there is a psychological operation going on. And it's quite a bizarre one, because what was immediately said was this Brit card, which is one of these things. And you would have an app on your phone, which would have your information, your name, your date of birth, your address, and hundreds of different attributes could be added to that. So you could put your documentation in there, your driver's license, your passport. It would give you your NHS details, what medication you're on, whether you're up to date with your COVID injections and boosters and all this kind of thing, and even attributes to give you a social credit score in the future, like they have in China, where if you have bad social credit, then you're restricted from doing certain things, as well as many other things. This was what they said, and this is the ultimate in digital ID. It would be an absolute nightmare, because if that comes in, you would not be allowed to do anything, not even buy or sell anything, without using your digital ID. So the government will know everything that you do, everything that you buy, every purchase that you make. You would not have cash. They would do away with cash, and they'll bring in CBDC, central bank digital currency, which will be on your digital ID wallet. And then they will be able to restrict you from making certain purchases if they say that, oh, well, you've gone over your climate allowance, so you're not allowed to purchase any more meat for another 2 weeks, or you're not allowed to buy any more petrol because you've bought your limit of petrol. There will be rationing meat and eggs and travel and petrol and all kinds of things through your digital ID wallet. That is what some people ultimately want. Technocracy, where energy is considered the currency unit, it's linked to CBDCs, and everyone will be restricted. Of course, unless you're in the elite, unless you're in the cabal, when you can go to Northolt and get on a private jet with impunity, because you will have a special account and a special indicator or one of your digital wallet that says you can spend whatever you like and you're not restricted. But the 99% of us would be restricted. And that is the nightmare of digital ID that they want to bring in. But digital ID is already being brought in. And it's been brought in by something else very quietly, very stealthily through the back door. So when they're talking about brick card and getting everyone to speak against this, and I've been heartened by the number of people who have actually said, I'm not going to take that. This is outrageous. And actually public support for brick card, this kind of digital ID, has gone down from something in the 51% something down to under 20%. People don't want it. They understand how dreadful it is. But what they are doing by stealth is this thing, the gov.uk one login system. And they're quietly bringing together all of the government databases on people together under one system. So previously, if you wanted anything from a government agency, so you want a driving license, you deal with the DVLA. You want a passport, you deal with the passport office. If you need welfare, you deal with your own local council and the Department of Work and Pensions. If you want to run a business, you deal with Companies House. If you need to declare your tax, you deal with HMRC. If you want something to do with your health, you go to the NHS. If you want something to do with your children's education, you go to the Department for Education. So everything was separated, which in a way was good, because one department doesn't need to know everything about you and the rest of your life and the rest of your dealings with other areas of life. But now what they're doing is bringing it all together. All of the logins, everything you needed before, whether it was a driving license, a passport, running a business, claiming welfare, getting a pension, declaring your income, paying your corporation tax, it's all being brought together on the one system, which is called one login. And this requires digital ID verification for you to use. So there was no requirement before for digital ID verification to get onto any government system. Back in the day, you walk into the post office and you turn up in person, and you would deal with someone in person on behalf of the government who would be trained to help you with everything that you needed to do. Now they want everything to be online and digital. So to get onto this one login system, there's the logo again, you need to verify your ID. You need to upload a picture of your government ID that you've already got, either a driving license or passport. And crucially, you also need to have a photo of your face taken. And so you need, this needs to be done with high resolution smartphone technology or tablet digital technology, because they want your biometrics. They want the biometrics of your face in order to do facial identity recognition, facial recognition, to verify your identity. So to do anything now with the government, for the systems that have already gone onto it, you need to have this digital ID scan of your face to put your biometrics into the database. And this is the dangerous thing. This is already happening while they're getting everybody to, you know, campaign against BritCard, which people are doing quite rightly and very successfully. They're already bringing in this one login, which is collecting your biometrics, and that's getting ready to create a full digital wallet. Now, it's almost impossible to avoid with, if you need to do, or you want to do certain things, which the government provides. So already, if you want, if you're on welfare, if you're on benefits, you have to provide, you have to get digital ID verification through the one login system. Has that stopped benefit fraud? No, not at all. There's still £10 billion a year going on benefits to foreign nationals living in the country. There's still a large amount of money, hundreds of millions, hundreds of millions, sorry, perhaps over £1 billion, going to foreign fraudsters, some of whom aren't even living in the country, but they're still claiming benefits out of the system. So this digital ID verification isn't stopping benefit fraud. It's not cutting the benefit bill at all. So the thing is, what is it doing? It's actually costing a lot more money, because this system, all these new IT systems that they make, always cost billions of pounds that go to IT and management consultants. So they seem to be the winners out of it. But it isn't doing the things that they sell it to us that it's going to do. All it is doing is actually collecting your biometrics to put in a database to be used for a more nefarious purpose in the future. Now, what's happening at the moment is, if you are a company director, and I'm a company director, I'm the director in 2 companies. First of all, the Heritage Party is incorporated. So you need to do that to get a bank account these days. I don't really want to, but you have to do it. It's almost impossible to run a political party without having a company that's incorporated, because you can't get a bank account otherwise. Where we are limited under guarantee, so we're a not-for-profit corporation. So we're not there as a business with shareholders, unlike Reform UK, which is very bizarre. I'm also the director of Right Think Limited, which is my media company, which owns my Right Think channels that are on YouTube and X and other social media platforms. So I'm the director of 2 companies, and like all the other company directors in the UK, and there are 8 million company directors in the UK, we've all got multiple letters over the last few months saying you need to get a one login verification done. Otherwise, you won't be able to continue running a company, because you won't be able to file your annual accounts and your annual verification statement, your, what do they call it now? Your declaration that you're a company. You won't be able to do that unless you've got a one login account and you've been verified with your ID and a picture of your face for facial recognition for the biometric database that they're building. So it's a very, very difficult situation for company directors. So some people are saying, well, I'm not going to do the confirmation statement for another year. They're trying to do it early, before the deadline to where everyone's going to need to do this, but the government shut that, and they've changed the goalposts, and it was going to be from November the 18th that you would not be able to file anything on Companies House without one login, but they've just brought that forward. So from October the 13th now, you have to have a one login account and number to be able to access. You'd file anything on Companies House if you're a company director. There was never any need for this before, and they're saying, oh well, this is to cut fraud, but it's not going to do anything to do that. It's just, why do we need this when it was never necessary before? They're bringing this in step by step, bit by bit, on one government system after another. And the next thing, or soon, what they will do is say, well, they're going to add the DVLA to this, or the DVLC, I think it's called now. So you won't be able to renew your driving license unless you have a one login account with digital ID verification on it. So bit by bit, they're making life harder to do things harder in normal life. They're making it harder to do anything without having a one login account. And almost everyone needs to drive. So when they bring that in, they brought people on welfare in, now they're bringing company directors, making them have one login. Then they're going to bring everyone in who wants a passport and who wants a driving license, and so they're going to try piece by piece to catch everybody in this biometric prison. Now, as yet, it doesn't really affect your life at the moment, but they're collecting all this data on you. They're collecting your biometrics because in the future, they want to link it to a currency, a central bank digital currency, and then we'll be in the situation where you can't do anything without one login or a digital ID wallet, which will be built on top of the same technology. So this is the database on which the digital ID app, which you'll all have on your smartphone, will be built. So they're building up the database now with this one login thing, which is people are beginning to realize that any time that you're required to verify your ID with facial recognition and uploading government ID, that's going into a government database somewhere, and it's being used to collect information on you. Now, this was interesting. An interesting tweet here from Bruce Unfiltered. People think the digital ID is just a card on your phone. It's not. It's the legal backbone for total verification. Your work, rent, health, education, banking, tax, everything. 20 acts have already been passed. Everyone connects another part of your life to a state-approved identity system. You're not opting in. You're already inside it. And that says very well what is happening with this one login system at the moment. And also there, as an attachment to that tweet, he put up this list of bits of legislation which have already been enacted over the last 10 years, each of which has a little bit in it to build the framework of legislation to allow the government to collect all this data with the one login system, link it all together with all the government departments, and then expand it in the future through secondary legislation and other methods in order to bring in the compulsion to make it mandatory to have this digital ID wallet that Keir Starmer was talking about. But it's not a wallet that stands on its own. It will be built on the government's one login system. And this is why we have to be very, very careful about that at the moment. So that was a very good tweet there, and very good information there from that Bruce Unfiltered. I don't know who he is, but I just saw that on the on X there. So there's legislation there. The one that's going through at the moment, which I've spoken about before, is the children schools and well-being. Sorry, it's the children's well-being, schools and children's well-being bill, which is nothing to do with children's well-being at all. It's part of it is actually to try to bring children in school into the digital ID system and force them to have a digital ID to be able to go to school and do things at school, such as be registered or get lunch, which I think is absolutely tyrannical. It's wicked, because children should be left out of it. Why has there ever been a need for children to have a digital ID, a smartphone app, in order to get their lunch or to get through the gate of the school in the morning? You know, what I've noticed about schools in the last 10 years is that every single school in the country has now got a big 8-foot tall metal fence around the entire perimeter of the school. That never used to be the case. I mean, schools, they used to have fences, but they would be wooden fences. They'd be open at the front. They might just be like picket fences or whatever, so kids can go in and out. But in the name of protecting children from terrorists, they've built these huge fences around all schools. You go and look at your nearest school, you know, there's a 90% chance, I would say, maybe more than that, that it's got a big metal fence around the entire perimeter with a huge gate which you can't get in without a code on it. And eventually they'll change it to do what they do in China. They'll make it so you can access it with a Bluetooth or RFID chip on your smartphone, or a QR code linked to you need the children will need a digital ID to be able to get into the school. And that will also, as well as letting them into the school, they'll also need it to get out of the school, which is even more worrying. You know, that you think is bad enough, you need something to get in. What if they have a lockdown in the school and they stop you from getting out? Parents will want to go and get their children, but they won't be able to get their children, and the children won't be able to get out, because all the schools have got a massive fence around them, a metal fence, could be electrified if they wanted to. And then, you know, you would need a smartphone to get out, but they would just change the code or whatever and press a button and say, no one's getting out now. You know, this is a possibility. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised that some nefarious persons thought of that. And this is all going to come in with digital ID. So it is something to reject. People are rejecting the brick card, but we also need to start speaking out and rejecting this one login system, which we've never needed before, and we don't need now either. Thank you for listening, everyone, and God bless you all.